Hi, everybody. I haven't talked to you in a month or so, but a lot of things happening, so I wanted to make another video and give you some of my opinions. Those of you that might be interested. Uh, I haven't made a video for a while because I kind of got tired of talking about waking up, same old thing over and over again. It got kind of boring. And if you remember in my last video, I said, don't wake anybody else up. Leave that to the Alex Joneses and Glenn Becks and Rush Limbaughs, David Ikes. These people are experts. They're fearmongers. They bring all the terrible things up. We all listened to them when we were waking up. I don't think there's anybody out there that can say they didn't learn, they didn't, their awareness became heightened by watching uh, Alex Jones in particular. I don't watch him much anymore, but when people need to get information, it's exactly where I send them. I hear an awful lot of criticism of him, but in reality, that's what his job is. It's not for most of us. But there's so many other things that we really need to be thinking about. Uh, Probably primarily, everything is based on the economy. Whether we want to admit it or not, we've allowed ourselves to become dependent upon the matrix, the money game, and it's going to shit in a hurry. It's in trouble. Most of you have noticed the new twist thing Bernanke talked about the other day. For those of you who don't really understand that, basically what that means is the Federal Reserve, they're getting out of the short-term bonds. Well, the short-term bonds, 3 months, 6 months, 3 year, that's how the government, they sold their bonds to the Federal Reserve primarily because they're about the only buyer in town anymore. And they're not going to buy them anymore. For a matter of fact, they're not only not going to buy them, they're going to sell their positions if they can find a buyer in the short-term deals. And what's happened, if you watch the stock market, it's plunging in a hurry. I think it went down a little over 700 points last week. No telling what's going to happen this week. Uh, for a long time, I've been talking about QE3. And in essence, that's what this twist thing is. It's actually somewhat of a QE3 because what they're going to do, they're going to buy the 10, 20, and even 30-year bonds. You got to remember that the government took over Fannie Mae, Freddie Mae, so they've got all these useless contracts that the banks had. The banks now have no short infusion of money, and so they're in trouble. Well, obviously, you've got all of Europe is going crazy, and we're at war with most of the rest of the other ones. Um, we're not at war, we're getting ready to go to war. But what will happen is, in my opinion, QE3 will happen because we're going to get a short relief because if you notice the price of commodities, the price of oil, even gold and silver uh, are going down. So when things go down, prices go down. In my previous videos, if you notice, I said that what would happen, and not many people talked about this, but it's exactly what's happened, is that Europe and the other economies, they're going to throw all the support they can to the dollar because as fragile as the dollar is, it's the only game in town. If the dollar crashes, they all fall apart. A lot of people are looking at that and anticipating that's going to happen any day. But if you've been following this for a while, what's it been? 2.5 years since I first heard about Greece getting ready to hit the skids. They haven't done it yet. They're getting close, but they haven't done it yet. And before the United States, before the dollar crashes, everything's going to crash. Everything's going to crash. And of course, we all know about the New World Order. My own personal opinion of what's going to happen, and they're frying that frog, the North American, what do they call it, the NAU, or whatever it is, the North American NAFTA. They're trying to test program now. They're allowing the Mexican truckers to come unabated, unregulated, right over the border, and eventually they're going to go all the way up into Canada. Of course, you probably heard also coming, I think it's first month or so, they're going to start putting American police on the other side of the Canadian border, and they're going to have the Canadian Mounties and their boys over here. And eventually, the currency that I see coming will be the Amero, which is really no different than the euro. They all got together in Europe. They established one currency, and it failed. I don't think we're that awfully far away. It'll be after the election. It'll be after 2012. And I think you're going to see the emergence and the strengthening. You know, I said they're very slowly, you don't even see it coming. You may have seen a couple of videos on the Mexican trucking coming in. You got to keep in mind, right now it's 2,000 trucks a day coming into, I believe it's down in Texas, and another 1,400 into California, Arizona. So, and they say they're going to inspect every one of them. They're not going to inspect every one of them. That's where it's all headed. But that's the economy. There are going to be no new jobs. Technology, the jobs that they're not sending to where the cheap labor is, which is in other parts of the world where they don't have the environmental issues, they don't have the bureaucracy, and they get these people for 10% of what they have to pay an American. There are not going to be any jobs. There are not going to be any jobs. That part's going to be worse. As it is right now, there's the poor in America are growing exponentially, and they're going to continue to grow. It's going to be a different world, and we need to start looking for ways. We need to start developing survival skills. Now, gold and silver. I'll go one short one on gold and silver here. I've had a lot of people ask me what's my feelings on gold and silver. Obviously, I may catch some criticism on this. Gold and silver is not for everybody. If you don't have food put away, you don't need any gold and silver. Get food now. If you don't have a generator, if you don't have gasoline put away, if you don't have a battery-powered fan, if you don't have heating utensils, if you don't have if you don't have all the things you need to survive, you don't need any gold and silver. I live in the rural America. Most of these people they don't want gold, they don't want silver. They're going to want food. They're going to want a part to fix their car. They're going to want gasoline. Anything you can get to help people survive will be in demand. Just as much, even more so. If we have one of these CMEs, or XMEs anymore, the X players, come from the sun, knock out the grid, There won't be any more TVs. There won't be any more cars. It's going to fry all the transistors. Do you have a radio that won't get fried? Do you have an old-fashioned radio? Do you have the skill fixing some of the old stuff? These are things we need to be thinking about. I'm rambling back on the wake up thing, and that's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to say is the economics, the writing is on the wall. It's only a matter of time. Unless they stop this slide of the stock market, people will be crying for QE3. They'll be praying for it, even knowing that it's going to hurt us in the long run, but they don't really have any choice. They either have to bite the bullet now or allow the powers that be to continue their game. And in this country anyway, they've not shown any desire to really make a change. They like to talk about it, but they're not doing anything about it. You have no choice. You have no control over what somebody else does. You only have control over what you do. And the one thing you can do, if there were one thing that I would like to see people do, that I'm trying to do, it's you have to start educating people that are close to you of how to survive, how to get a marketable skill. You're not going to be able to go down, get in the yellow pages, and look up somebody to fix your TV or change your tire. They're not going to be there. But if you know, you can hardly get an appointment now with a doctor. Learn something about medical. Learn something about mental health. Mental health is going to be one of the biggest issues over the next 20 years. You know, I always kind of laugh. People, there's a certain stigma to mental illness, but nobody, I don't know anybody who's perfectly healthy physical. We have a lot of compassion for physical illness, but truth is, I also don't know anybody who has perfect mental health. Keep in mind, I believe that we are all somewhat mentally ill. I believe that mankind is going to grow much more mentally ill as this world gets more difficult. If I had a young child right now, I would tell them the growing field, the thing where you can make a living, the thing that you can be beneficial, get into the mental health field. Anyway, I tried to hit a couple of subjects here. Hope everything's going well in you guys. God bless you, and have a good day.